When Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu walked into the United Nations General Assembly Hall this week, dozens of world leaders stood up and walked out.
Please, order in the hall.
It was not a polite diplomatic shuffle. It was a coordinated visual rebuke. The images went viral. Rows of empty seats as Netanyahu stood at the podium, props in hand, delivering his message to a mostly absent audience. This wasn't just theater. It was politics, signaling, and protest all at once. What does this unprecedented moment mean for Israel's place on the global stage, for international diplomacy, and for the Gaza war narrative? Let's walk through it in today's Star Explains. What happened and why it matters? Benjamin Netanyahu used his UNGA speech to highlight Israel's fight against Hamas, declare military victory in Gaza, and warn Iran that Israel would act alone if necessary. But for many diplomats, the speech itself was secondary. The walkout, staged by dozens of delegations, including several European, Arab, and Global South nations, was the real headline. Diplomatic walkouts are not new. Delegates have walked out during speeches by Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, Iran's former President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, and Myanmar's junta leaders. But this moment feels different because Netanyahu is not an isolated pariah. He is the head of a government that has long enjoyed strong backing from Western allies. The fact that even some traditionally cautious European delegations joined the protests points to growing discomfort, even anger over the Gaza war, civilian death tolls, and Israel's defiance of international rulings. Domestic versus global audience. Political analyst and The Independent's World Affairs editor Sam Kiley argued that Netanyahu knew this would happen and may have even welcomed it. Kiley writes that his real audience wasn't in New York at all. It was back home in Israel and among key international allies, particularly in Washington. For Netanyahu, the walkout allowed him to cast himself once again as the embattled defender of Israel, standing tall as the world abandons it. This framing plays well with his domestic base, shoring up his fragile coalition and buying him more political space at home. But internationally, the optics are striking. An empty hall sends a message that Israel is becoming diplomatically isolated, something that could have long-term consequences. A Le Monde editorial from the paper's international desk puts it bluntly. Israel risks standing alone just as its legitimacy is being questioned by the international courts and human rights bodies. Symbolism and strategy. Walkouts are symbolic, yes, but symbols matter. They make headlines, trend on social media, and shape global opinion. For many nations, this was a way to protest without burning diplomatic bridges entirely. It was a middle ground, not a full boycott, but a clear public refusal to be seen endorsing Netanyahu's message. The risk, of course, is that symbolism without follow-through becomes empty. As Axios diplomatic correspondent noted in their roundup, if these same governments continue to trade with Israel, supply arms, or block stronger UN resolutions, the walkout may be remembered as a photo op rather than a policy shift. So what comes next? The walkout underlines a growing diplomatic challenge for Israel, balancing military policy in Gaza with its need to maintain international legitimacy. It also adds pressure on allies like the United States, which now faces visible global pushback whenever it vetoes resolutions and shields Israel from sanctions. For Netanyahu personally, the walkout may paradoxically strengthen him in the short term, letting him tell Israelis that the world is against us, a narrative that has kept him politically alive before. But in the long run, isolation can carry a cost. Lost alliances, reduced trade, and greater vulnerability if Israel ever needs multilateral backing. The UNGA walkout was more than just diplomats stretching their legs. It was a carefully staged moment of global dissent, a sign that the patience of much of the world is wearing thin. Whether it marks the start of real diplomatic consequences or is just another viral moment in the long saga of the Gaza war depends on what comes next. And that is what we'll be watching closely in the weeks ahead.